Let's go ahead and start working through Chapter 5. Again, there are some PowerPoint slides that will be made available to you in doc sharing on the course shell. They are fairly concise summaries of the information contained in this chapter, so I'll put them out for you. But I want to go ahead and just start working through the activity in Chapter 5, and we're going to create that little ball joint arm. So let's start on page 5-2, and I will give you my screen so that we can work together. And the first thing we want to do is select our plane as usual. In this case, we're going to draw on the front plane. Make a new sketch. And we're going to build a few things in here. I'm going to go ahead and get started with that circle. That is centered on the origin. And I'm going to put another circle whose center is horizontally in line with that one. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and put that center line in here. Through both of those. So now I can put in my other lines from this edge to there. And then from looks like it doesn't really matter as long as our endpoint is on that circle. And then straight over and then up to the edge of this circle. Oops, I didn't like that. Let's try that again. Let's go from here to there. All right. And now we want to trim our circles. And remember, we do that with trim. And we're going to use a variety of commands, it looks like. We will just use trim to closest, and let's get rid of that piece and that piece. And it looks like all of that. So now I look, my picture, my profile looks like the second version, the second image there on page 5-3. Let's add some dimensions. This guy's going to have a radius of 0.368. And we aren't going to worry about those fillets right now. So we are going to just put in this dimension, 0.125. And from the center line, or center point of that circle to that edge is 2.518 inches. And from that same center point to this line is 0.475 inches. And we're getting there. We need this distance to be 0.275. And I need a radius on this guy. Of 0.375. There we go. That gave me my fully defined sketch. So we'll go ahead and exit out of here. We need to add a couple of, so you see that there's a relation there with the arc center being coincident with the center line. Because I drew my circle that way, I don't need to add that relation because it was automatically added. You can see that right there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and revolve this guy. Going to revolve it around line 1, which is my center line there. We're going to go blind 360 degrees. And we will just say OK, because those are the default conditions. And I've got a very pretty, shiny little metal, looking ball arm joint. And you can see I've got a dished in end here because I revolved around that little arc on the end. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and save this. We'll save this as DRF263, Chapter 5, Ball Arm. Oops. Okay, now we're going to, I'm on page 5-4. We're going to sketch in the open-end profile. And we're going to do that from the top plane. Oh, before I do that, wait a minute. We're not quite done. We need to add some fillets to this thing. So if you notice at the bottom page 5-3, we've got some fillets going on in this region here. So that one and that one. So what we want to do is we're going to fillet this edge, and that edge. So we're going to fillet. We know that those are 0.05 inch radius fillets. And there's one here, one here, and one there. There we go. Now let's save that. That looks better. Okay. Now let's do the open-end sketch. Let's select the top plane. And we're going to sketch on that top plane. And I'm going to do what the textbook suggests and change this to make my hidden lines visible. And we're going to sketch 2 circles that are co-radial with the hidden edge. What that means is that they touch. So let's put in that circle. And I think I'm going to make my view be normal so things look a little bit better. Okay, and I want I think I did that wrong. I want the small circle to be co-radial with this center edge. So there we go. So let's take a look at those relations. This one and that hidden edge. Let's select the hidden edge first. Having troubles getting to it. Hmm. Okay. Okay, sorry, that took a little fiddling. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to make sure you've selected the top plane and that you are viewing normal to that top plane. Now, we're going to sketch in this smaller circle first, and we're just going to not let it make any automatic relations. Now, select this hidden edge and select this circle, and we're going to make those we're going to set a relation between those two that says they are co-radial. Okay, and there we go. I was having troubles making it snap and do that automatically, so we'll force it. And now we'll sketch in the bigger circle. And we are now going to put in a 3-point arc, which isn't something we've done before. So we're going to put in a 3-point arc. And again, I click the down arrow on the arc command and the 3-point arc. And I want to make that arc tangent with both circles. And it looks like that arc is referenced off of that horizontal line. Or maybe it's not. So let's just not think too much. Put in, so we click 3 times. And these 3-point arcs are a little bit finicky. Okay, to do a 3-point arc the way we want to do it, we first click on the endpoints. So make sure you've got a 3-point arc selected, 3-point arc. Click on the inner circle. Oops, maybe. 3-point arc. First endpoint is on the inner circle. Second endpoint is on the outer circle. And then we can go up. Now, go exit out of there. And it makes it look like it should. Now let's trim the line and the 2 circles. So let's see, what are we doing here? We're going to trim this guy, not like that. We need to add one more line that goes from here to there. Now let's trim this guy. There we go. And trim this one. And we are just left with that little archy bit there. Okay, now we can add some dimensions. We want the distance from this center point to the center point of my circle to be 0.250 inches. Zoom, okay. And I want the radius of the outer circle, or arc now, to be 0.425. All right. And now we can trim that line. Away. And we want to make sure that that line is collinear with this line. So this guy, and that line, like that point and that line. Nope. Says I should be able to go from the bottom of the part and that line and make them collinear. There we go. And I am still underdefined. Because I need this guy and this guy to be tangent to one another. And this guy and this guy to be tangent to one another. There we go. Now let's hide all those relationships. Now that I've got them figured, much better. All right. We're going to go ahead and save this guy. But now what we want to do is revolve it. And we are going to do a mid-plane. Not sure what happened to my center line. Let me put my center line back in there. Put him in here to there. All right. Now let's make sure we're on sketch 2. We are. We are going to revolve this guy around that line. We're going to do a mid-plane revolve. And we're going to go 75 degrees. I'm going to say OK. And that looks about right. I'm going to turn my view back on. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and do that mirror. So we want to mirror on the front plane. And we're going to remirror revolve 2. And say OK. Let's save that. And let's add some fillets. We are going to fillet 0.0800 inches. Here and there. Yes, click OK. And we are going to fillet 0.015 inches on these 4 edges, top and bottom on both sides. And say OK. And that's it. We are done with that ball joint. If you would like a little extra practice, you can work on that flathead screwdriver that's on page 9, although I did not assign it, but it looks like a pretty fun exercise. And when I come back, On another day, we will go through the center ball joint that begins on page 5-13. Have a great evening, and I will see you soon.